This incredible story begins a long, long time ago. It starts with Joseph. You remember Joseph, right? The one with the amazing, colorful coat. He was a favored son. His brothers sold him. But God had a big plan. Joseph ended up in Egypt. He became a very powerful man there. He was wise. He helped save Egypt from famine. Joseph married a beautiful Egyptian woman. Her name was Asenath. She was the daughter of Potiphera, a priest of On. Asenath was a strong African woman. They looked regal in their modest, ancient clothing, their dark skin shining. Together, Joseph and Asenath started a family in the land of Africa, a family that would be part of a great promise. Their story is one of faith and destiny. Joseph and Asenath had 2 sons in Egypt. Their names were Manasseh and Ephraim. These boys were born before the great famine came. They grew up in the royal courts of Egypt. They were children of 2 cultures, Hebrew and Egyptian. They were African Israelite children carrying a special heritage. One day their grandfather Jacob, also called Israel, came to Egypt. He was very old. Joseph brought his sons to Jacob. He wanted his father to bless them. This blessing was so important. It was a tradition. It was about the future. Jacob was ready to pass on the promises God had given him. He loved Joseph deeply and wanted to bless his children. A truly powerful moment happened next. Jacob was old. His eyes were dim. He could not see well. Joseph brought Manasseh, the firstborn, to Jacob's right hand. He brought Ephraim, the younger, to Jacob's left. He expected Jacob to bless Manasseh first, but Jacob did something surprising. He crossed his hands. He put his right hand on Ephraim's head, the younger son. He put his left hand on Manasseh's head. Joseph tried to correct him, but Jacob knew what he was doing. He said Ephraim would be greater. He said Ephraim's descendants would become a multitude of nations. This was God's plan. Ephraim received the greater blessing that day, a sign of great things to come. From Ephraim a mighty tribe would grow. The Bible tells us about his family. In the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 7 we read about his sons. There was Shuthelah and Bered and Tahath. These were the beginnings of a great lineage. Ephraim faced hardship too. He mourned when some of his sons were lost, but God was still with him. His family continued. And through Ephraim a special woman would emerge, a woman of strength, a woman of action. Her name was Sheerah. She was part of this blessed line. Her story is one of courage. She would build cities. She would leave a mark on the land. This family of Ephraim was destined for great things, a testament to God's enduring promises. Now let's talk about Sheerah. She was an amazing woman from Ephraim's family. Imagine her, a strong African Israelite woman. Her hair was beautifully styled in intricate African braids. Perhaps beads and jewels adorned them, reflecting her noble spirit. She was not just anyone. She had vision. She had courage. In a time when men often led, Sheerah stood out. She saw what her people needed. She was determined to provide it. She was a leader in her own right. Her story shines brightly, showing us the power and wisdom women held even in ancient times. She was a true inspiration, a testament to the strength found in faith and purpose. Life in those days could be dangerous. People needed safe places to live. They needed protection. Sheerah understood this. She saw the hills around her. She had an idea, a big idea. She would build fortified towns. These towns would be a refuge for her people. So Sheerah got to work. She built Beth-horon the Nether, that means the lower city, and she built Beth-horon the upper, that means the higher city. These were not small tasks. Building cities required resources. It required planning. It required leading people. Sheerah did all of that. She was a builder. She was a protector. Her hands and her heart built a future for her community, stone by stone. But Sheerah didn't stop there. Oh no, this woman was on a mission. After building the 2 Beth-horons, she built another town. This town was very special. It was named Shira. That means portion of Shira, or named by Sheerah. This town carried her own name. It was a testament to her work. It was a reminder of her leadership. Can you imagine the pride she felt? Can you imagine the gratitude of her people? Sheerah wasn't just building walls of stone. She was building a legacy. She was creating safe spaces. She was showing everyone what a determined woman, guided by God, could achieve. Her name would be remembered for generations. These cities, Beth-horon and Shira, were so important. They provided security. They became centers of life for the Ephraimites. Sheerah's vision helped her people thrive. Her work showed her deep love for her family and her tribe. It showed her faith in God's plan. She was a practical woman. She saw a need, and she met it with action. Her story is written in the stones of those ancient towns. It reminds us that everyone has a part to play. Everyone can make a difference. Sheerah, the builder, certainly made a huge difference. Her legacy was one of strength, security, and unwavering commitment to her people. Sheerah was not alone in her great family of Ephraim. Their father was Ephraim. Beriah also had descendants. This family line was strong. It was full of leaders. From Beriah came Repha, and from Repha came Resheph. Generation after generation the line continued. These were people of faith. They were people of purpose. They carried the blessings of their ancestor Ephraim. Each generation played its part in God's big story. They lived in the land. They faced challenges, but they persevered. Their names are recorded, showing the importance of family and heritage. This was a lineage marked for leadership and divine guidance. The family line continued to grow. After Resheph there was Telah, then came Tahan. After Tahan there was Ladan, and then Ammihud. Each name represents a life lived. Each name represents a link in the chain. This chain was leading to someone very special, someone who would lead God's people in a mighty way. Ammihud was an important man in this line. He was a descendant of Ephraim, through Beriah and Repha. He was part of this blessed heritage. These ancestors of great leaders lived their lives, contributed to their tribe, and passed on the legacy of faith and resilience that characterized the descendants of Joseph and Ephraim, their roots deeply planted in the promises of God. Ammihud had a son named Elishama. Now, Elishama was a very important figure. He was a prince. Yes, a prince of the tribe of Ephraim. The Bible tells us this in the book of Numbers, chapter 7, verse 48. When the Israelites were in the wilderness, each tribe brought offerings for the tabernacle. Elishama, son of Ammihud, was the leader who represented the tribe of Ephraim. He was a man of status. He was a man of responsibility. He was chosen by God to lead his people. He was a respected figure, carrying the authority and the spiritual weight of his tribe, ensuring Ephraim's voice and contribution were known among the children of Israel. Elishama, the prince of Ephraim, also had a son. His son's name was Nun, and Nun, in turn, had a very famous son. His name was Joshua. Yes, that Joshua, the one who would lead the Israelites into the promised land. So, Joshua was a direct descendant of Ephraim. He was from this same powerful family line as Shira. Elishama, his grandfather, and Joshua himself were strong warriors. Imagine them, brave men with swords at their sides. They were ready to fight for their people. They were ready to follow God's commands. Their hearts were full of courage. They were leaders, prepared by God for extraordinary tasks, embodying the strength and valor of their tribe. Joshua grew up to be a great leader. He was Moses' assistant. After Moses died, God chose Joshua. Joshua would lead the Israelites. They would finally enter the promised land. This was a land God had promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Joshua was from the tribe of Ephraim. He carried the spirit of his ancestor Ephraim. He carried the spirit of his grandfather, Prince Elishama. He was brave. He was faithful. He was ready for the battles ahead. His leadership was crucial. He was the one to fulfill the long-awaited promise, guiding his people into their inheritance with divine strength and wisdom. One of the most famous battles Joshua fought was at Beth Horon. Does that name sound familiar? It should. Beth Horon was one of the cities that his great-great-great-great-aunt Shira had built. Isn't that amazing? Generations later, her nephew Joshua was fighting a crucial battle right there. He was defending the land. He was leading God's people to victory. The city Shira built with wisdom and foresight became a key location in Israel's history. It stood as a silent witness to the unfolding of God's plan through her family. Joshua was fighting on sacred ground prepared by his own kin. This connection is so powerful, showing how family legacies intertwine with divine destiny. During that incredible battle at Beth Horon, God fought for Israel. The enemies were strong, but God was stronger. As the enemies fled down the pass of Beth Horon, something amazing happened. The Lord threw down great hailstones from heaven on them. These were like huge boulders falling from the sky. More enemies died from the hailstones than from the swords of the Israelites. Imagine the scene, the chaos, the power of God on display. And in the background stood Beth Horon, the city Shira had built. Her work provided a strategic place. Her legacy was part of this divine victory. It was a clear sign that God was with Joshua and the people of Israel. The battle raged on. Joshua knew he needed more time. He needed more daylight to completely defeat the enemies. So Joshua prayed. He spoke to the Lord. Then in front of all of Israel he commanded the sun and the moon. He said, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon, you stand still in the valley of Ajalon." And guess what? The sun stood still. The moon stayed in its place. It was a miracle. There was no day like it before or since. God listened to the voice of a man. Joshua won a great victory that day. This story of Ephraim's family from Joseph to Sheerah to Joshua is one of faith, courage, and God's amazing power.